Alright, to make a foot ring, or a cylindrical piece of clay, whatever you want to call it, we're going to first, we're unwrapping our texture slab, and this has been wrapped up since I rolled it out, so it's still fairly soft. And you want it to be at this stiffness when we wrap it around the form. So I'm going to transfer it, remove the plastic. It's important that you remove the plastic from your work area because the plastic can hold nurdles and imperfections that will get on your clay. You want to be able to remove them. And also, I kind of want this to start to get harder. For now. And I want to cut a straight edge first. And depending on what kind of texture you're using, it may be important or it may not be important that this is perfectly perpendicular. This texture has a linear quality to it, so yes, I do want that perpendicular to be on, so I'm just eyeballing it, but you could use a triangle if you were going to get picky. This should work. Okay, so next step. Got that ready, sort of. I don't know how long I'm going to make it yet, but that's okay. I've got some paper here. This is actually, I got it at the hardware store for painting. It's really thin. Newspaper works great. I know a lot of people don't take newspaper anymore. I'm one of those old school folks that does. Need a piece of tape. What we're doing here is we're creating sort of a barrier, if you will, between the cardboard and the clay. And you want it to be fairly loose so that once we get the clay wrapped around the cardboard, we can slip the cardboard out, leaving the paper attached to the clay and let it set. Otherwise, the clay will harden around the cardboard as it dries and shrinks, and you will not be able to get it off. So this is very important. The other important thing is don't tape this to the cardboard, okay? So just tape it to itself. There we go. All right. And that's a little too tight. You want to test it and make sure it moves a little. Yeah, that's good. There you are. And then I'm going to carefully determine how big I want to cut this off. I want there to be a little bit of an overhang. And then I'll save this extra clay over here. You can also determine how tall you want your foot to be at this point. I'm going to go for fairly tall. We're going to do 5 inches. 4.5. 4.5, that is. In case you didn't hear me. Now I'm going to use my scalpel. Okay. There it is. I really want this tree out of here. So at this point, you see that it overlaps. You want to have it overlap because you're going to cut each side so that they will join exactly. And one way to do it is to overlap the two. And cut through. Let's see. So I'm going to cut that way. Okay. So I cut through both of them. And there they fit together pretty well. I'm going to take a little bit off, just a touch. Actually, yeah. Perfect. Cut that little piece off. And there you can see they fit together pretty well. And actually, nice. All right, so let's score and attach. I have a scoring tool that I like to use. You can make one out of a craft stick maybe and cut little notches in it. Or use your scoring rib. That will work too. And in this instance, I'm going to do what's called slip in a second. Slip in a second is when you take your rib or whatever scoring material you're using, dip it in water, and go back over those areas that you scored, scoring them again. This way it's not too goopy because this clay is still pretty wet, but it does do the same purpose. And there we go. We can worry about the fine tuning of the craftsmanship and details later. This just kind of gets the whole thing put together. So it can stiffen up a little bit. And then a little while later, I will attach this to the bowl form and start cleaning it up. But before I do that, remove that, okay? So, there we are, steps 2 and 3 of our slab form. We'll get back with you later on. Have a good day. Bye-bye.